There's a lot of different reasons you might need to hear this, but I know you do. Words are imaginary. Symbols are real. Groups of symbols that have meaning to people, that's a real thing that you can physically point at and say, like, that's that exists. But like a word, to call it a word, you have to have like a conceptual understanding of what a word is. You can't point at a word and everybody sees it. You know what I mean? Like, if I say a word, the sound is real, but the concept is imaginary. So, that's why these sounds don't mean anything to anybody who doesn't understand the language I'm speaking. Words are imaginary. So, no matter what words are used, you can always peel them back and search for reality. Reality does not come in words. Reality does not come in imagery. It's not identifiable through human senses. It's just there, and relative to it, you are also there. It's all just kind of there, and you're in it. Reality, I mean. But like, words, imaginary stuff, it affects reality in the sense that it changes the way that you move through reality and shape reality. But it's not real. And so you have to be very careful about how you allow the imaginary world to shape reality. Because imagination is impermanent and undoable. But reality is like an ever-shifting pool of atoms that, like, once you push them in one direction, they're over there now. And if they want to go back the other way, they gotta be pushed back the other way. You can't just undo the movement, Like, if you have a thought, then at most you occupied time in which another thought could have potentially existed, I guess. But like, a thought does not transpire in the plane of reality in a way that can be measured, or it's only when the thought transpires into action that it becomes something. And so you can have as many imaginations as you want, but they don't mean anything outside of the world of your own imagination until they've been pushed into reality in some way. Now, when you push things into reality through the form of words, again, you're really just pushing sounds out, but you're creating new imaginations in people who understand those words. Really, even if they don't understand the words, like, people use their imagination to figure out what they think things mean. And imagination goes way beyond words, obviously. Imagination is the main way that we really even understand how we are different from anything else in reality. Like, the idea that you are not just... your atoms are changing constantly. You're not the same thing all the time. You're always a little different. Always a little different all the time. But you have a concept of a self that holds your sense of who you are together. And the more that sense of self erodes, the less connected you feel to the atoms themselves. You feel like you're drifting in and out of them because you're not thinking of the new atoms as like new you. It's more like there is no you. It's just this ever-shifting thing, and you're not sure what it is. Whereas, like, if you have a strong sense of, like, personal self, then it's like, all right, out with old, in with new. This is who I am. I'm always changing. I'm always bringing in new, and I'm always shedding off old, But, like, that idea of it being a you that's happening too, that's imaginary. You are imaginary. You are real also. But you are as real as everything, no more and no less. Whereas your imagination is only as real as you imagine it. So the you that's in your mind is 1,000% malleable. You can do whatever the fuck you want with it if you can imagine it. Whereas the you in reality is just one part of the whole thing. And again, you can choose how you move through it using your imagination. Obviously, I move in a pretty imaginative way because no one else is here where I am. There's plenty of people at the park over there. Nobody's over here. Why? Because nobody is imagining a use for this space except for me at this moment. And so I am shifting reality, but in such a minute way, in the sense that, like, I'm just standing in a field in the wind. Like, I might be changing little things about how the plants are going to grow this week or something. I don't know. But I'm not having a tremendous effect on the environment in a way that is noticeable. But I'm having a huge effect on the imaginary environment of myself and whoever happens to listen to this video. Your imaginary environment is shifting so much that it might change the way you move through your literal environment. But you have to appreciate that you can expend an infinite amount of imagination. You can expend an infinite amount of effort. So the best way to use your imagination is to figure out what is the best use of my effort. What can I best do with this effort to make reality better reflect how I imagine that it should look? How do I move the atoms to reflect my imagination of something that functions more smoothly? And it usually comes from, it's like a feeling that the atoms themselves are telling you they don't want to be the way that they are. They want to be shaped another way, Like, there's some reason that these things need to be moved. And it might be for the sake of, an effect that it has en masse that you're trying to achieve, either psychologically or in the way that the world literally operates. Like building this train, right? Like, this is a huge change in the way that the environment of this whole place is. None of these trees were here until somebody planted them here. This is all a fake environment. So it started as an imagination of how do we change this into something that's useful to us, humans, and humans sort of think that they are making things better in general because, well, we're advancing all these technologies, we're raising the quality of life for whatever is still alive, that we're not actively murdering, which is a lot of it. Well, I'm kind of trailing off into new agey shit now, so enough of that. You get the point. Words are imaginary. Don't let your imagination get the better of you. Don't let the words that you use in your mind make your reality suck, because your imagination is a tool to make things good. If your imagination is working against you, probably somebody's doing that to you. Somebody's doing it to psychologically attack you so that they can take your money on the back end, because psychologically weak people give their money away to addictions, and they don't tend to empower themselves to try to shape reality even through their imagination. Even just a lot of people don't even empower themselves to have a pleasant imagination. I struggle. I'm in this category. I'm a person who struggles just to not imagine stress out of nothing. Stress that doesn't do anything. It doesn't change anything. It's just there, happening, hormonally through my body as a result of my imagination. And it's not that I'm blaming my imagination for this. Again, I think that there are people doing this to me, to you, to all of us. But you know, I think that the more you can understand that, the more you can kind of free yourself from the guilt of living in that, of understanding that, like, you know, even if you can imagine a way things could be better, someone else is imagining a counter strategy, and, you know, plenty of people have more power than you or I. I don't know who's watching this video, but I doubt that they are a billionaire. So yeah, I doubt that you really have the power to upend the structure that is actively attempting to disempower you. But at the very least, I can help to free you up to consider your imagination as a free roaming tool, you know, something that is there for you to explore inside of. Get as lost in as you want. Fuck reality, you know, like do whatever you gotta do inside your mind, and come back when there's something meaningful that you need to do. Don't feel like you have to do things all the time. You know, you can just, like, if you spend 3 weeks, like, holed up in your room dissipating, like, if you come back with anything from it, at the very least, you'll have something, you know, which is better than, well, I don't know. Is it better than nothing? We'll find out, won't we? When we all die.